Today we are going to talk about limits. So I have section 1.2 notes from College Calculus, and I'm going to first start with what a limit is with a word definition, and then I'll show you how we write it algebraically, and then I'll go and talk about how you can solve them. There's three ways, and then we'll go through and I'll show you how to do that. So first, what is a limit? A limit is the height of a graph. So the height of a graph is the y value. Just put that in parentheses. So it's the height of a graph that a graph approaches as x approaches a given value. So it's the height of a graph that a graph approaches as x approaches a given value. This is a very wordy definition, so we will talk more about different ways to write it. But what a limit is it's not something that we've seen before. What we are used to seeing, and you don't have to write this down, but we are used to seeing like f of x equals 1. That would be the y value or the f of x value at a certain x value, and it equals a number, a specific number. And you can go right to a function, plug in a value and get a number. You can go right to a graph and see that value. But a limit is not that. A limit is going to be more what a graph is approaching as x is approaching a given value. So it's more of what a graph is leading towards than what it actually is at an x value. So it is an approaching value. We'll still get a number most of the time, but it's going to be more of a what does the graph look like it's going to be. It's more of an anticipation answer. So here's how we write it algebraically. We just write the letters L-I-M, and then we may write f of x if it's just representing a certain function, and we may write an actual equation there. And then right under LIM, you write X and then an arrow, and then there'll be a number given here to you. You don't have to make up that number. I'm gonna put an A for now to hold that spot, but that's a number that you're given. And then equals, it'll equal some answer. So here, I'm gonna say L for whatever the answer would be. I know a lot of this might not make sense right away, but we're gonna keep on moving forward, and it should make sense as we go through and actually solve them. But what we're gonna focus on in this class is 3 different ways to find a limit. So there are 3. The first one is numerically. The second one is graphically. And the third one is algebraically. Most of the time, you will be forced to solve a limit in one of these 3 ways. You might not have the choice because if you have a graph, you can use it. If you don't have a graph, you can't do it graphically. You might have to solve it numerically if it's a one-sided limit and that, it's just the only way you have to solve it. You might have to solve it algebraically because you don't have a graph and you don't want to spend time setting up a table. So a lot of times the way that you solve it will be dictated by the information that you have. So I'll stop this video, and our next video will start the solving limits numerically.